some of the concerns we've heard is, we're going to lose who we are, and that's never going to happen. Coming up live at 7, Siena College to Siena University, the steps Siena College is taking to make that a reality. And we'll also give you an in-depth look into Siena's rich history.
I just want to be part of your symphony. You know that one, yeah.
And the sights and sounds from Siena Fest. We have the details.
I love how he was such a people's pope. He was kind. He always seemed to be the most like Jesus.
The world is still mourning the death of Pope Francis, how the conclave picks a successor.
And Siena's academic showcase is quickly approaching. What we know about this year's event.
And breaking new details on a Siena student's revoked visa. SCTV Live at 7 begins right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Coloma.
And I'm Joey DePretta. We begin this evening with breaking new details on a major story we've been following.
We previously reported on a student here at Siena having their visa revoked. We've just learned that that student's visa has since been reinstated. Provost Margaret Madden announced that following legal developments at the federal level, the student's F1 visa status was restored. Siena has been in contact with the student and their family during the process to figure out what the next steps will be. The college says they will continue to monitor this situation and support our international classmates.
Siena College is exploring the possibility of changing its name to Siena University.
To learn more, we reached out to the president's office. Take a look. Since its founding in 1937, Siena has been known as a college. Not only a college, but one of the most respected institutions in the capital region. However, with this acknowledgement comes growth, hence why Siena College will be potentially changing its name to Siena University.
It's an exciting time for our institution. The Board of Trustees will vote in June on potential name change to Siena University. And how this came about is really multifaceted. First, for a long time, it's been part of our strategy to really expand our reach and the reputation of Siena to new audiences. In the past few years, that's been accelerated through rapid growth in our graduate programs, and that continues to be part of our plan moving forward, understand.
Jason Rich in the president's office was able to provide me with even more insight into the transition. However, he said something that especially piqued my interest.
Actually, we've had a name change before, believe it or not. Siena actually started as St. Bernardino of Siena College and changed to just Siena College in 1968.
I never knew that we had a name change, and I can imagine many other saints didn't either. So I headed to the St. Francis House where class of 68 graduate Bill McGoldrick was able to tell me about Siena's past.
Important thing, I guess, is that it was all men. We were the last class of all men to graduate from Siena College before it went co-ed. When I got here, I lived in Plassman Hall 227, and Plassman and Ryan were the only dormitories at that time. My senior year, Hennepin was brand new, and I was in the first group to live in Hennepin Hall. The quad, as you know it, with all these trees and beautiful greenery, was a flat area that we played football and lacrosse, and muddy most of the time.
Bill has certainly seen his fair share of changes here at Siena. So what's his advice to the current student body?
So change is always tough. It's the thing most human beings fear the most. When we find a comfort zone, we don't want it to change. When I was here, I graduated from St. Bernardine of Siena College. It later became Siena College. I was here when we were the Indians, and then we became the Saints. The thing is that Siena stays the same. The core values of the place, the community, which is so important to all of us, hasn't changed a bit through all those changes. And if the board votes to make this Siena University, I think it will still be to us Siena.
Bill also said that Siena creates lifetime friendships and that he hopes that the current student body treasures them.
There was a town hall meeting today about the name change. Our very own Ashley Bavis will sit down with the Student Senate President and Vice President to get the student perspective on the possible change. Siena Fest is a staple here in Loudonville, and this past weekend students enjoyed an array of events. But the thing most Saints were looking forward to was Zara Larsson. The Swedish pop star performed in the Marcel Athletic Complex for this year's Siena Fest concert.
Students could be seen lining up near the MAC fairly early to get a front row experience.
I'm very excited to hear everyone sing the TikTok famous, "I just wanna be part of your symphony." You know that one, yeah.
Zara Larson wasn't the only performer that night, as the concert featured student openers Daniela Gerbasi and DJ Stin, as well as a performance by DJ HB Monty. But before the concert took off, the Solid Step team and Chaotic held a dance performance in the Nigro Plaza on Friday.
The performance was held the day of the Siena Fest concert to showcase the skills of these student dancers. If you wish to know more about Solid and Chaotic, you can find their information at saintsconnect.siena.edu. And the festivities continued into the weekend, highlighted by a state fair.
While the weather halted plans for the quad, students filed into the MAC to enjoy this year's fair. The fair had activities for all students, including gladiator jousting, mini golf, axe throwing, and even a mechanical bull.
My favorite part's definitely been getting to see everyone outside today. It's our last Siena Fest, so seeing everyone together and outside is my favorite part. Probably the mechanical bull. I've never tried it before and I always wanted to, and given it was our last Siena Fest, we were like, let's hop on the bull, and it was really fun. Definitely bittersweet, but I think we just got to soak it in while it's here. So I've been trying to have a good time and everyone's having a blast, so it's been awesome.
Fairgoers were also entered into a raffle for a chance to take home Siena-themed prizes. And amidst all the fun, some clubs on campus hosted their own barbecues this past weekend.
The first barbecue was held on Saturday by the Black Student Union. They welcomed everyone to stop by and enjoy some food in the Norm. And the second barbecue was hosted on Sunday by the Ryan Hall CAs.
This bye-bye barbecue offered grilled hot dogs, s'mores, and more treats for anyone that wanted to stop by. The Ryan Hall staff wanted to treat students and give them an opportunity to unwind before heading into final season. It's finally Academic Showcase Week here at Siena, and it's being kicked off with a brand new event.
The kickoff event is Saints Talk. It's happening right here in Foy Hall at 6 on Thursday. The event will host 5 speakers sharing their experiences with the power of empathy. The MC for Saints Talk this year is former Siena College TV Studio manager and current News Channel 13 morning anchor Chris Honorato. All are welcome to attend. And the Academic Showcase continues on Friday.
Friday is jam-packed with things from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The showcase kicks off with the Ted R. Winowski Student Conference in Business and wraps up with the Creative Arts Exhibition. These will all happen across campus, so if there's one you're looking for, head over to academicshowcase.siena.edu for more. The Great Siena Expedition is here and it kicks off this weekend.
On Saturday, Noble Hall will offer students a day full of health and science discovery. You'll be able to investigate crime scenes, see augmented reality, explore the stars, and much more. The event kicks off at 1 and wraps up at 3. The first 300 people to come will even get a special gift.
Are you looking to study abroad next year? The Study Abroad office just sent out a checklist of things to do before you ship off.
First, do your research. Check out siena.edu/studyabroad to see all available programs. Second, get a passport. You'll need it to travel internationally. Third, talk to your academic advisor to plan ahead. Fourth, meet with a study abroad advisor. They'll get you through the process. Their office is located right here in Foy Hall. And last, start your application. Every program has different guidelines, so the Study Abroad office is urging you to get an early jump before the October deadline.
While millions mourn the death of the Pope after this weekend's funeral, attention now turns to selecting a new Pope.
The Vatican just announced that they will begin the process on May 7th. A group of more than 180 Roman Catholic cardinals will make the decision in the coming weeks. Pope Francis died on Easter Monday. He was 88 years old.
Still to come, SCTV's Ashley Davis sits down with some of the members of the Student Senate to get an inside look on the university decision.
Plus, Matthew DeVincentis and Matthew McCarthy bring us the latest in sports.
And here's a look at the closing numbers from Wall Street. U.S. stocks closed mixed Wednesday as new data showed the U.S. economy shrank last quarter for the first time since 2022.
Welcome back. With the recent discussion for if Siena College will become Siena University, students might be left wondering how this transition will affect them. Today, I'm joined with Student Senate President Michaela Regan and Vice President Carrie Wise. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, guys. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. So to start off, for those who might not really understand the concept, could you explain what it means when a college transitions to a university, and give us a little bit about what the Senate does with this decision?
So as of January 2022, New York State changed their criteria for a college to become a university. And with the addition of Siena's new social work program, they now meet the qualifications to become a university. But in terms of the community feel at Siena, nothing is really going to change. Siena is still going to be Siena, but the name change is really just going to give Siena the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, and Senate has played the part. Me as Student Senate President, I've been able to be really in-depth in those conversations. So I spoke at the Board of Trustees. I was the only student allowed at the faculty and staff town hall, which occurred on April 2nd, to kind of give the student opinion on how we might feel if it does happen.
Nice. So as members of the Student Senate, what were both of your initial reactions after hearing that this change might be a possibility for Siena?
So my first initial reaction was I was excited. I read the entire white paper very early on, and I saw that the class of 2026 would be the first class of Siena University. And as I looked toward my senior year, I was excited because that's the start of a new tradition and the beginning of a new chapter. But I also kind of put into perspective how alumni may feel. The class of 2025, as my sister is an alumni, I realized that she will feel different than I will.
Yeah, nice. So as you mentioned, there won't be any major changes, but will there be any, will students in the Siena community be able to tell any changes that will happen? Will they have to worry about their academic journey changing at all, or anything in tuition?
So there's definitely going to be no relation between tuition changes and the name change. In terms of academics, no real big changes. The transition to university is really driving the graduate program more. A lot of people, when they hear college, don't think of graduate programs. So becoming a university is really going to let other people know that Siena has grad programs, and they're really trying to build that program more than undergrad.
Nice. So have you been working in any way of reassuring students that their voices will be heard about this?
Yeah, so we definitely try to do a lot of outreach. We put out TikToks, put out the town hall. It was kind of all fast speed just because we needed to stick to the timeline that the president's office had set in place. But we're definitely watching Fizz, trying to answer and debunk the rumors.
Yeah. Have you noticed an effect in any way from doing all these promotions? Have the students been more on board than before?
I think at first when it got leaked a couple of weeks ago from professors talking, students were unsure, and it's really become just students don't like Siena University and they'd rather have Siena College because it flows better. But we're giving them the necessary information so they're equipped with why we're doing it, and we're reassuring them that we came here for an education, but when we walk across the stage at the end of our journey, we leave with so much more lifelong friendships, unforgettable memories.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
If you want to watch this full interview after the show, you'll be able to find it on the Siena College Communication page YouTube channel. You can also find the interview on the SCTV Instagram page at sienacollege.tv. Make sure you follow and subscribe while you're there. On the way, an arrest has been made in the Saratoga larceny case. What we know coming up next. Plus, former House Representative George Santos has been sentenced to federal prison. See how many years he will be facing.
Former U.S. Representative George Santos was sentenced to more than 7 years in federal prison on Friday.
Santos was charged with aggravated identity theft and wire fraud due to his actions during his 2022 midterm campaign. Santos, who represented parts of Long Island and Queens, was expelled from the U.S. House of Representatives in late 2024. This after the House of Ethics Committee released a report detailing his lawful conduct.
Santos has been held accountable for his years of fraud, deceit, and theft. He's going to federal prison, and he's going to be punished for his staggering fraud.
After leaving the courtroom, Santos stated he, quote, betrayed the confidence entrusted in me, and that he cannot rewrite the past. The judge stated Santos must surrender to a federal prison by July 25th. New York State Police have arrested a man wanted in Saratoga Springs.
47-year-old Chad J. Nichols was arrested
Coming up,
for
the NFL
grand
draft has
larceny.
come to a close. See where the biggest names will be playing this upcoming season.
In the State Police received a bench warrant for Nichols back in February. He failed to appear for a sentencing hearing following an arrest on March 28th. Nichols was then located and arrested in Saratoga Springs a month later. He has since been processed on all said charges. Albany police have made an arrest in a domestic robbery incident.
28-year-old Nazir Ross was arrested on April 24th. Police learned that he had threatened a female victim at her residence with a knife before stealing her property. Ross has been charged with 1 count of robbery in the first degree, among other charges, and was arraigned in Albany City Criminal Court. Ross was then released under the supervision of Albany County Probation. Still to come, Siena Sports on SCTV.
Matthew DeVincentis and Matthew McCarthy take us to the Dog Pound.
Coming up, the NFL draft has come to a close. See where the biggest names will be playing this upcoming season.
Plus, an MLB player makes history. Find out what happened in just a bit. Good evening and welcome to the Dog Pound. I'm Matt McCarthy.
And I'm Matthew DeVincentis. The 2025 NFL Draft came to a close over the weekend. The first round of the draft kicked off on Thursday with the Tennessee Titans selecting Miami quarterback Cam Ward to their roster for this upcoming season. But in a shocking turn of events, the Cleveland Browns traded their second pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they would draft Colorado quarterback Travis Hunter. The New York Giants would then get 2 selections in the first round, first taking Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter with the 3rd pick and Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart with the 25th pick. However, star Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders would fall to the 5th round, where he would be picked up by the Cleveland Browns after many believed him to be selected in earlier rounds.
An Arizona Diamondbacks slugger achieved a historical milestone on Saturday. Third baseman Eugenio Suarez became the 19th player in MLB history to hit 4 home runs in a single game. Suarez hit a solo shot in the 2nd inning into left field to start off his run, then a 2-run homer in the 4th inning, and closed it off with 2 solo shots in the 6th and the 9th inning. When asked about his performance, Suarez said he thought he would never be able to hit 4 homers in a singular game. Continuing in the world of the MLB, the New York Yankees have made a familiar switch to their closing pitcher.
Reliever Devin Williams, who was acquired in a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers, has been struggling to find his footing after having multiple rough outings. Williams now sits with an 11.25 ERA with a career-worst strikeout rate, whiff rate, and walk rate in just 8 innings across 10 appearances. The Yankees will now transition to Luke Weaver, who at the moment has an ERA of 0 in 13 innings pitched, to take on the role of closing pitcher. Weaver has become a star amongst Yankee fans after his clutch pitching sent the Yankees to the World Series last season.
The Saints baseball team took a series win over Iona last weekend. The Saints found themselves back in the win column as they took 2 of 3 against Iona. The Saints were able to take Game 1 with ease, earning a 6-2 win, with Tyler Sausville earning the win on the mound, pitching 3 scoreless innings. This marks the first time in 8 years the Saints were able to secure 4 straight conference wins. The Saints then split a Sunday doubleheader, winning Game 1 7-6 and dropping Game 2 6-5. Both games saw 9th inning troubles as the Saints allowed a combined 8 runs in the 9th inning. The Saints are about a 4-game road trip today at the University of Massachusetts.
Saints softball found themselves in the win column this past weekend with a series sweep over Canisius at home. The defending MAC champs took Game 1 of a Friday doubleheader by a score of 5-1 and cruised to victory in Game 2, winning 6-1. Seniors had a game to remember on Sunday as they completed the series sweep on Senior Day. Alyssa Iman earned a complete game win with 5 strikeouts, and Ella Millant had herself a day at the plate, knocking in 2 runs with 3 hits. The Saints crushed Canisius by a score of 7-2. The Saints will now open a 2-game home series versus Lemoyne this afternoon.
That'll do it for this week's edition of the Dog Pound. I'm Matt McCarthy.
And I'm Matthew DiVincentis. Matt, Joey, back to you.
Thanks, guys. Still to come.
Our very own Kaylin Claus takes us to the Career Center on campus.
Some majors here at Siena require you to take an internship to graduate.
No need to worry. The Career Center right here in Foy Hall is here to help. Kaylin Claus takes us there.
The students of Siena College are moving into a new chapter of their lives. Siena College's Career Center can help students with their transition from college to the workforce. There are so many opportunities when it comes to navigating internships, job searches, and building a resume that will stand out. The Career Center prepares students for the career of their choice. SCTV spoke with Assistant Vice President for Experimental Learning and Career Development, Alicia Pepe, about what can make this transition easier for students.
We also have Saints Network, which is a networking platform. Think of it as a closed LinkedIn platform for just Siena students and Siena alumni. So it's a great way to network with alumni in your industries and beyond, and you can connect with them for some career advice.
The Career Center is a great resource for students to explore and find a job. Reporting for SCTV, I'm Kaylin Claus.
I don't know about you guys, but I've certainly taken advantage of the internship center. I actually interned right here in the TV studio with our director, Mitch Young. You know, and it's been way more than just like a internship kind of relationship. We joke around, with stuff, and one thing we were joking about today, have you guys seen the 100 men versus the gorilla thing?
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah, that, what do you got? What's your take? What's your pick?
I mean, I completely think the gorilla's got it in the bag. I don't think you could pick 100 of the best men, women, whatever on the planet, and I just don't think they stand a chance.
I think I might need a brief description of what you guys are talking about.
All right, so we're talking about, right, take like a space the size of Hickey Field, right? It's walled in, though. One silverback gorilla versus 100 men. Fight to the death.
No, the gorilla's winning.
I don't know. I asked ChatGPT. They think the humans are possible if we make a plan, circle around it, and kind of close in on it and go for its arms.
Yes, but it's a gorilla.
But you have to, exactly. You have to think about too, like it's a primate, so it's just as capable with its legs and feet as it is with its hands and arms. And so, I just came from the townhouses actually before this, and we were debating about it entirely. But that will do it for SCTV Live at 7.
Follow us on Instagram at sienacollege.tv, or you can find us here on the Siena College Communications Program YouTube page.
Have a great night.